Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Oliver and I'm going to show you how to program a Cisco router with an IP address on an interface. First things first, we're going to go for any router at the bottom. If you choose one, put it in the center there and double click into it. Now when you go to the CLI page on the router, it will be downloading its image, and give it a few seconds and then we will go into the programming. Now I'm going to choose a IP address of 192.168.0.1 to program in on my interface of 0, 0. And now I'm going to go back into the router and go into the command line. Now at the start here, it's going to ask you to enter enable to go into the privileged mode or privileged exec mode. Press enter. There we go. Now this is your host name, router. You can change that, but we will do that in another video. Now to enter the global configuration mode, we can do the command of config T, but if you're unsure at this stage, you can always give it the question mark. It'll bring up a list of choices or commands that you can put in there, but for us we want to do the config T or config 2. This will go through to the configuration of global config. This way you can enter interfaces like ports, anything like that. So I want to go to my normal fast Ethernet port of 00, so I'm going to put in there interface FA, or if you're unsure, give the question mark again, look for the fast Ethernet, whatever port you want to go to, or Ethernet port, anything like that, and type in fast. You can use the tab button as well, so if you go fast tab, there you go, it puts it in there for you. Fast Ethernet, question mark again if you're unsure, 00, 0. I've now chosen my interface fast Ethernet 00, and this is on the router. If you hover over it, you can see there's no IP address assigned to it just yet. If we go back into the router configuration page, and in there we can put the commands. Again, if you're unsure, you can always question mark and it gives you a list. Now I'm looking to put in an IP address. If you press enter, it will go down the list and show you any other commands. IP, as you can see here, will allow me to go into interface internet protocol configuration commands. So if I go here, put down here and press IP address 2.168.0.1, and you can't, if I was to enter that now, it'd be an incomplete command because there's no subnet address, subnet mask put in there. So if I press up, it'll bring me back to what I previously typed, give it a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0 or any subnet you want, enter, it's in, and then to activate that port, we to put the command of no shut or no shutdown. That interface will now show as up. Now to check this, we can go back to the privileged exec mode. So if we do exit again, back to there, we can say show run tab, show running config, enter, and it will bring you up the running configuration for the router. And there we go. Fast Ethernet 00 has got IP address 192.168.0.1.255.255.255.0 subnet. Now to save this, if we were to power down the router now, it would lose all that information. So if we tab or enter all the way to the bottom till we get to router, gone a bit too far there, but never mind, we can copy this. So we can copy the running config or copy run tab, and it will populate the command for you. To the startup configuration, press enter, enter again, and it's saved. So if we were to power it down, power it back up, it'll power back up with the port as 192.168.0.1. Right, so if we come out of this now, to prove that this works, move this over here, put that there as well, we will get a switch. Any switch, doesn't matter, just going to prove the connectivity of the router to an endpoint. So we're going to configure this shortly, don't worry about the IP address just yet. So we're going to connect all the devices together with straight through fast Ethernet 00 to any port on here, and then again, same again, port to fast Ethernet port on the computer or the endpoint. Right, these will link up shortly, but first we have now got to import an IPV4 address in on the endpoint here. So if we double click into the endpoint, go to configuration or desktop, preferably desktop, gives you a bit more to do. So if we go to IP configuration, we can't choose DHCP because we haven't set a DHCP pool in the router, so manually enter your IP address, 192.168.0.2 or 20 or anything that you want. I'll leave it at 20. You've got to give it the same subnet mask as the network. Default gateway is going to be 192.168.0.1, and that will then send all the data out through the router. So that is now programmed, and if we go into command prompt, ping 192.168.0.1, enter, and there we go. This proves that connectivity is now going from our router to the endpoint and the endpoint to the router. That is a very brief video on how to apply an IPv4 address to an interface and say the connectivity from the endpoint to the router. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and please leave me some feedback.